Okay, there, it's recording. Don't know if you can see me very well. Don't know if you can hear the crickets in the background. I don't know if you can see the clouds in the sky. Well, that was the Stygian. You're sitting in the window. I come outside almost every last single night, up to 5 times a night, because after I worked as a janitor in Lawton, Oklahoma, the night shift is engraved into my brain. Plus, I feel more awake at night. Just feels better. I guess you call me a night person. Just don't call me a vampire. I don't have the teeth for it. I come out here and look up at the stars. Back that way, sometime around 3 a.m., there'll be Orion. That star cluster back that way. The moon's already over there. Don't know if you can see it behind the trees. And one of the Ursa constellations will come right over there and slowly drift while pointing in roughly 5 to 15 margin of error of degrees towards north. Because of the Earth's tilt and wobble on its axis. That's the type of shit that goes through my head when I come out here. Astrology, planetary level physics. Actually, it's just basic physics, just on a massive scale. So massive, I'm sitting on it right now. That was an attempt at intellectualized humor, by the way. That'll appeal to all of 3 viewers until this video gets several billion views. Then we can get an accurate census of how many of you are actually intellectualized that way, humorously. Aww, the chirping stopped. Or it just went into a lull. By the time you notice it, it's long past time that they stopped, and now you're like, that's odd. The longer it takes to notice, the more stuff you got on your mind that you need to unload. Well, they're starting back up again. There's a couple of frogs going on too, because it's getting warmer after the snow. What was it, a month ago? Yeah, I'm gonna say a month ago. Now that it's warm again, all the crickets and frogs are out chirping. Sometimes it's so quiet that they're not even doing anything, and the owls will go starting hooting off in that direction, and that direction, and that direction, and that direction. Oh, there's one now. It's off over there. No sooner said than done. It was like it was cued. I don't have video editing skills that good. Nope. There's there's not a single video on my channel, any of my channels, that's edited. Except for the title, the words you see that describe the video. That's it. There's 4 lakes nearby. One's in that direction, and one's in that direction, and one's in that direction, and one's in that direction. So there's plenty of territory for 4 owls to live quite comfortably in such close proximity. There's plenty of mice and small critters, and even bunnies. I'm still waiting for that one bunny to actually let me pet him or her. It's gonna be a while. Every time I speak, they skitter off. Well, not every time. I'm just playing into that one. They did that at first, but not anymore. They're used to seeing me when they come out, or at least seeing me when I come out. Depends on who's already out first, really. Most of the time, it's them. That'll be the neighbor's dog barking at the deer. There's a family of them, and they'll come right through. They go all the way up there to eat on some bushes Mom's got planted, some shrubbery. They walk all the way down here and then back out into those woods over there. Well, they'll rotate how often they come over so that the plants have had enough time to regrow, because that's what grazing herbivores do. Technically, they're grazing omnivores because they'll eat small crickets and whatnot every now and then. Very rarely. But anyway, speaking of omnivore, bunnies are, cats and dogs are. Dry pet food and canned pet food don't count. They will eat some grass. Some cats will eat catnip. Not all, but a very small portion of those who actually enjoy it. Ooh, shoulder popped. Nice. That sounded like a gas release valve or pressure relief valve. One of the neighbors is going through something right now. They're off that way. I should have made a video or at least taken a picture of when it snowed. It was beautiful. It was very aesthetically pleasing. I enjoyed it. There. My arm's on the proper armrest instead of the chairs next to me. This is nice and relaxing. Especially hearing the crickets and the spring peepers. Wonder if the neighbor who owns that land back there minds if I walk across this little bridge and listen to the water trickle through the stream again. He didn't mind last time I did. He didn't mind me bringing a friend and my friend jumping into the lake. He actually got a chuckle out of that. That was a long time ago. Friend named Jeffrey I used to work with at the Fresh Market grocery store chain. Goddamn, like 20 years ago. Yeah, close to fucking 20 years ago. Because I'm 37 now. So not quite 20 years ago, but pretty close by now. Now, I remember one comment, year, maybe somewhere, give or take a couple of months, around a year ago, asking what happened with my teeth, and one person since then has made some bullshit snide comment that I just clicked the hide from channel button on, which is effectively the same as banning people from posting comments. So here's what happened. I started life with a vitamin D deficiency in my genetic code. That be the first thing that went wrong. My bones have been more brittle and prone to breaking, a lot more than any others. For example, I once stubbed a toe on a couch while walking. That toe was broken because of the vitamin D deficiency. Now, the rheumatologist I went to back then, a specialist, when my insurance was from my parents, that's when I was real little, roughly 6 years old. That's when my toe broke. When I stubbed it on the edge of a sofa, just walking by. That'd be what it means to have a vitamin D deficiency. Because vitamin D and not fucking calcium, fucking periodic tables reference is K for potassium, and I'm thinking calcium, and it starts with a C, but it sounds like K, which is K. So there's the logic loop in my brain right there. More of a hemisphere, really. So lack of vitamin D means my bones are more brittle. It's not Vrolik syndrome, which is really fucked up. It's just more brittleness in my bones as opposed to a normal person. Now, my clavicle, shoulder bone, right at not collarbone, shoulder bone, collarbone. Yeah, this thing right here. That one was broken from someone doing a wrestling move without knowing how fake wrestling really is and how to do it properly so it doesn't break your bones. So, side note to take off from that story is don't tell me wrestling's real. Don't make the joke about, oh, you're one of those crazy people who thinks wrestling's fake. No, I know it's fake. I've had a broken bone from some improperly trained, well, not trained at all, idiot pulling a wrestling move. Yeah, I know it's fake. Because there's no way you can take being slammed onto anything, table, mat, not the muscular mass that these guys are at, and jumping off of a fucking ladder. Come on. Bullshit. It's fake. The guy jumping would have broken bones if the arena wasn't a springboard under them. You ever see it fucking bounce? You see the little tarp on the side, flamp back and forth. Yeah, it's a springboard under there. It absorbs shock and disperses kinetic force so that they don't break their bones when they're jumping from a ladder inside the ring. So, my broken bone here, that tells me that's fake. Which coupled, the vitamin D deficiency coupled with other things, stress, a lot of stress, malnourishment, because when they feed people in jail and prison, they just give them a fucking bowl of overcooked rice with fucking beans. I don't know how it is in other states, but in Alabama, you get malnourished in jail and prison. If you're not buying off of the store to get your macro and micronutrient needs, your body's going to suffer. You're going to emaciate. And they have those people measured on basal. The basal metabolism thing, where you starve yourself for 3 days and then go and have blood drawn, and they run that. They've got people in jail and prison here in Alabama running on basal metabolic functionality, the bare bones minimum to exist. That's how fucked up it is. So you couple that with me having an extreme vitamin D deficiency. Rheumatologist said it was the lowest he'd ever seen. It was 50% lower than the lowest reference range on the chart, and the lowest reference range on that chart was something like 50 to 70, and mine was like 13 to 20. So, bad genetics, lack of vitamin D, that bad. Even when I was on supplements, it was still that bad. I'm still on supplements now. It's still the same bad. It's still the exact same. It hadn't gone away. I don't know why it said it was. But back then, when that was going on, that's when my teeth started breaking. So that takes care of that. Yeah, don't fucking make fun of people who can't help some things. Like me, with my teeth. Now, if you want to call me a fucking idiot for doing something stupid in a video game, or saying something stupid that's also for comedy's sake, feel free to do so. Everyone has that permission. Just don't bother with other shit. Oh, there's the train. We live next to one of the railroads. It goes in a nice hemispheric squiggle pattern through the town, through the local area, that is. You see how calm and relaxing it sounds out here? Even with that and the medications, I'm still under a fuck ton of stress. Because, like I said in the video I didn't want to make, it's fucking stepdad. He's narcissistic. He's a passive-aggressive abuser. We've had to deal with this for fucking years. Like fucking more than 20 years now. He's pulled such dumb shit as pissing mom off until she wanted to leave, because if she didn't, she'd literally have killed him back then, and getting her yelling and screaming by poking and prodding and picking her way. And then when she got in the vehicle to go and drive off and leave and cool down because he's being such a bitch, he jumps under the front wheels of a vehicle, lays down, and says, "Run over me! Run the fuck over me! I want you to kill me!" screaming it in front of the neighbors and everything. That's when we lived in a different area. He would pull shit like that almost daily, and he's nearly back at doing the exact same shit all over again. So, me being on those medications for stress and anxiety, that's not going away anytime soon. Even after, you all go on Patreon and help support me so I can support my family and take care of them, because my stepdad won't be a fucking man and do it himself properly. We have to get the fuck away from him, get a new home, not this cracker box we live in, a new home to live away from him, and just tell him, go, bye, be free, go, be passive-aggressive somewhere else, we don't want you. I deflect with the comedy, if you didn't notice. It's the same thing Robin Williams did. Yeah, we're up to the point where everyone's getting that level of depression and stress. Not just me. There's a good few 100,000, almost a few million by now, in the United States alone. Society is not meant to live that stressed out. And they just keep doing dumb shit and adding more stress to everybody. That leads to dementia and Alzheimer's. The stress, it overloads your neurology, so your physical hardware starts shutting down. Gets worked to the point where it can't recuperate normally like it would. So it just shuts down because it's dead. All the stress is killing people's brains. Otherwise, Elon Musk wouldn't have Zig Heiled on national news, even as a joke. So, Alzheimer's or fucking dementia, that's the only excuse that Elon can really pull and say, I'm fucked up. But then again, everyone's right there already. Everyone's right there in the same... Everyone. Not just in America. Not just me. Not just one or two of you. Everybody. All over the planet. We're in that much stress and fear and anxiety every day from all the bullshit. All the way down to the simple things. Like when the Department of Wildlife did an investigation into zoos way back when. This is how we have a regulation that states in zoos a captive animal cannot have below a certain square footage, certain square meterage per pound or kilogram of body weight, because it needs that room around it to exercise, to run around. The humans are no different. And we get sardine houses where the restroom is just as small as the bedroom. That's after you've put the bed in it. You should have far more room in your bedroom than in a fucking restroom. All these set up shop houses that are popcorning up everywhere because realty companies want to fucking make money, when that should be a build it when you need it situation. That leads into another problem in itself. They want to build the cheapest. They want to put it up the fastest. They want it to make them the most amount of money. So it's a small efficiency, as they would call it. An efficiency. Because, what? How is it efficient? Oh, you can move around and it's quaint. It's cozy. That's just code word for cramped. Claustrophobic. They've got no real reason for the word efficiency and housing to go together in regards to size, when if it were truly efficient, we would have the minimum room to roam around in. But because of the complexity of sentient life that's self-aware, more so than just physically, but in several other ways combined, animals do have that self-awareness and sentience, but not in the exact same way that your Homo sapien evolution from the monkey does. I need to get a bigger house for me, my mom, and my remaining sister, to get away from the stepdad and to enjoy having enough space to actually enjoy breathing. You need more than just a bedroom, a kitchen, and a fucking restroom or bathroom. You need a recreational space to play. Because when you're a kid, you play, and that never leaves you. You just transfer that psychological association with the word and the action into a different type of play when you get older. So you start off with these giant colored wooden toys, and then you move on to Legos later in life. Or you move on from Legos to working in a construction crew. It's just play, just in a different psychological, emotional attachment. You're playing at your job. If you actually enjoy it, it's a form of play that matches with your sociology and psychology and pathology. It fits you. Those are just synonyms. I used all those big fancy dumbass words and then said the simple version of all of them combined in that context, in the meaning of what I was saying at that moment. So yeah, I can take the big fucking fancy ass bullshit words and break them down into an entire sentence for you. Yeah, I can do that. I just gotta get in the habit of doing it all over again. Get in the habit of, get used to doing it simple. That's a good way to say it. Fewer words, baseline words. Few words, simple to understand words. Yeah, simple words. Easy, simple. There. And I just psychologically buried the original statement in everyone's minds with a bunch of extra fucking words. Thank you, George Carlin, wherever you are. Thank you for pointing that out. It buries the meaning of the word. It, as George Carlin said, it dehumanizes humanity. Well, that's a paraphrase, but that's the general idea of what he was saying. Soft language. All these big ass fucking words to sound more important. It makes me want to engage in an involuntary protein spell. It makes me want to fucking vomit. That was satire and parody of reality. He was taking real world experiences and making them seem like something you can laugh at. He did it comically. He told you the truth comically. Satire and parody are based on reality, the reality in which we all live. And when your satire and your parody of reality is so blown out of proportion and it's pointing out all the fucked up wrong things and that's all it's focusing on, your society has a problem. Because the comedians are there, just like the court jesters of old, to point out the emotional and psychological well-being of society holistically. That is their balancing act. That's what they do. They take reality and make it look funny. Now, the way they portray it, if you're still laughing while they're being serious about it, then you call them a good comedian. But essentially, they're the real version of the news, what the news should be. They're the real version of it, reporting the truth. And back then, George Carlin was saying that shit's bad. But look at that. It happens so fucking often that when I say something about it, you want to laugh. It's that fucking prevalent, people. The world's so shitty, everyone's walking around going, fuck you. Back then, that was what it was like in those cities where he was living. He was reporting the truth of the city in which he lived. And it was pretty fucked up. And then he took from news stories he's seen in other places, and he incorporated that version of the truth, pointing out how fucked up it is. But right now, I'm not doing jokes and comedy about it from right now onward. This is a very nice, relaxing sit out under the night. The only thing that's really bugging me is that street lamp that they installed before we got this property over 20 years ago. Well, before Mom moved in with all of us. That's the way I see it now. We need to move to a better place where the fucking bullshit tax brackets are lower. We need an actual home, a medium-sized one, instead of this efficiency-sized, well, cracker box. This extremely cramped, tiny house we're in. There's real room in it is for the minimum that a person really needs in a room. There's probably enough room for like 2 bedrooms upstairs, but there's 3 crammed in there, just crammed. No real room, no closet space. Not really. It is extremely cramped in our home, well, house. You have to be comfortable enough in it to consider it a home, and we're not comfortable enough where we live. We're miserable. Getting away from stepdad, getting into a better home, an actual home. That's 2 things that's got us extremely stressed out all the time. And right now, my medications have kicked in and I'm feeling better enough to not dread talking about it. And I need to get implants, because dentures just aren't gonna fucking cut it. just no, no dentures. Implants are better. That they last longer. Um, you don't have to take them out every fucking night and clean them every fucking night in a specialized solution. You can just brush them like normal, floss them like normal. They'll be harder than my previous real teeth, so I'll be able to eat crunchy foods with more comfort. I'll be able to eat a fucking apple again. Can't do that with dentures. They just they're not good. My grandma's got partials. Still got dementia, by the way. It's worse. It's on its final stages. She's actually dying. And I say it out of pocket like that because I don't want anybody feeling sorry for me about that. It's just, she was that old. It wasn't actually going to happen anyway. No point in being sad about it when I can just accept that it was inevitable. Yeah, my uncle, my sister. Now it's grandma's turn. And death tells me that when I'm 67, my number's up. He didn't say how, which leads me to believe that it doesn't have to be permanent. And I really don't want to be in this box when my mom dies. I don't want to be stuck with stepdad. This narcissistic, passive aggressive sack of shit. I don't want to be stuck with that in this uncomfortable box with a passive aggressive, narcissistic piece of shit. Because the amount of stress he's putting on us, it seems more like mom's heart's gonna give out, or she's gonna have a stroke, or an aneurysm, or cerebral hematoma brought on by a vascular disruption, basically a burst blood vessel causing the stroke. Yeah, I'm actually worried that she's gonna suffer some bullshit like that because the stepdad's just a piece of shit. This is one of the primary driving forces why I keep pointing out to go to my Patreon. Me joking about it and saying I just want to do drunken, dumb shit. You should have interpreted that as a cry for help. While not necessarily a lie, it was saying I want to do drunken bullshit when the primary driving reason is we gotta get away from bullshit. We have to get into a better situation. So that's gonna take a lot. Let's see. 39 minutes. I had to check how long I've been recording. I've just been that relaxed to just take my time and yammer on at a decently slow pace. That's how comfortable it is out here, and I don't want to leave this. I want Sean, the stepdad, to fucking leave and not come back. I don't want to buy out a bunch of land from the neighbors, give them an extra $1 million more than it's worth, so they can find a nice place and not have any bills left over from it. Give them as long as they need to find themselves a nice place, get settled in, then take out all the houses, clear out a nice section somewhere where it's not in the way of the water from the ponds nearby. Build a nice big house for me and my family and just live in it. Well, in a few more minutes, the moon will be out from behind that tree. Here, take a look. See that? Wouldn't that be beautiful? The camera actually highlighted some of the shading on the clouds at the moment. Turned the camera for you to see that. That was nice. It actually looked a little bit better due to the lighting and shading. So, in conclusion, I got fucked up problems. I'm not whinging on about them. I'm just letting you know this is the shit that's happened. This is the shit that's happening now. And this is why, this is the primary driving force behind why I want a few 100,000 people on Patreon. I don't know how much each individual is going to choose to do each month, but I was imagining at the lowest amount of $1, a few 100,000 people. That way, we can get all this stuff done quickly. Well, not all of it. I was illusorily masking the truth of getting Sean the fuck out. And later on, you can always stop doing the Patreon thing. I'll fucking let you know when you can decrease and by what amount you can decrease, because I'm not going to be able to get a job ever again. I'm going to have to live off of Patreon. Unless I get enough into the stock market to just live off the dividends, but that literally would take billions. So, in conclusion, Patreon, it's like $10,000 a month is enough to comfortably live while getting everything set up before that ahead of schedule. And due to inflation going up rampantly by nearly a fucking 50% every year, it feels exactly like that, because I watched less than $1 on a loaf of bread become $5 for a cheap store brand. Then there was the gas, with it going up to like $6 a gallon. In some places, it was way worse. And it never really went back down to the $1.80 it used to be. It just sort of hovered around $3-4. That's where it is now. Started out at like $1.80 per gallon. Now it's fucking $3, 80 something cents per gallon. Inflation. So 10,000 a month, that's a decent starting point. Because it's only going to get worse. The fucking interest on housings for getting a loan or whatever, or financing or whatever, instead of being allowed to buy it outright, just back in like the fucking 19 fucking early 1920s. Not shit was way cheaper back then. That's when it went up and crashed. And it's not that far back, really. Getting a home used to be as simple as you fill out during the initial land rush. You fill out some paperwork with your name and whatnot, and you get a flag, and you go and poke it in the ground in a parcel, and that's your claim. Then it went to, okay, now you need to pay us for it. A little bit strange that I should pay you to live somewhere? What is this? Yeah, land ownership. No point in saying anything more about it. It's just annoying. Go to my Patreon. Like, a minimum of 10,000 of you. Yeah, I know. I've barely got 1,000 of you who've chosen to click subscribe. Thank you for that. Like 700 something. Last time I bothered to pay attention to the number. Speaking of the difference between paying attention to a number and paying attention to the actual person who chose to click subscribe, the most recent one today, well, 2-3 hours ago, actually, was, I forgot the first name of the channel, but the second part was Alexander. Black looking fellow in the vids that you've got on your channel. I think it was Alexander. I'm probably a little bit off there. Keeping track of who joins and when. There's only so much room up here for keeping track of other people. I have to keep track of myself a lot. So, any more than a few hundred, and I think that's the same with anybody. Any more than a few hundred other people I have to keep track of, and fuck it, I just can't do it. It's not a matter of will so much as it is a matter of memory space. There's only so much hard disk space up here in the old computer box. This fucker's using one of those spinning disks as opposed to an SSD. That's the way it feels when you get older. You've gone from a fucking memory compression algorithmic SSD hard drive, and then you're older, and then you've downgraded to a floppy disk. That's the way it feels getting old. You filled up all your memory. When you sit there and think about it like I am now, I used to fill so fast with my memory. I could recall things so fucking instantly. Now I'm lucky if I can remember how to tie my damn shoes after I get up in the morning. It just means you've run out of memory space. Because it gets filled with other things, like the stress from the news, or like the stress from the drama on fucking soap opera, You've only got so much memory to work with, everybody. So, a while back, when I said the first 30 years of your life determines what you remember, that's what it means. Because around the age of 30, the hardware stops doing connection patterns up here. It stops the reaching out of the neurons to make connections with other neurons to form chains together that can store memory. That's when it all slows down, and then shortly after that, you realize, I can't remember what I ate yesterday, or what I did yesterday. Who am I? Ooh, that sounds nice. I hope all of you got to hear the owls earlier, and then the crickets and the spring peepers. Hope you got to hear that bit that was there. I'm gonna end this recording, this video. Till next time.